Welcome! It's Monday, and that's a good day to play Teenage A or talk about it, not only in Bavaria but in the whole world. It's Flo, I'm your host, and today I am reading from the Red Elves Supplement Beauty and Terror. I'm reading an interview transcript from Inquisition First Class Amara Lorca on the subject for Annabelle Müller. 948 AS, October 1st. Archprelate Hildigus, are you able to continue? For Annabelle Müller, yes, Reverend Mother, I'm quite recovered, forgive me. Hildegard says nothing to forgive, child. Not many escapes the Alexian elves. Few still find themselves back home with the determination to tell the story. Alma, would you like to begin today? Inquisitor Lorca, very well. In your position of a household servant. Müller, slave, sir. I was a slave. You don't need to be pilot. Lorca, quite my apologies. Now as you were singled out by your mistress for body slave, were you privy to anything that would enhance our understanding of their culture? Müller, they care for each other, they laugh at our laughter, and seem to value life highly. It is sickening to behold, considering the cruelty with which they treat anybody who isn't them. I mean to say, those who aren't elves. I often think about my master and mistress, Berovent. Berovent? Fur Müller becomes visibly upset but refuses to adjourn. Müller, it was the second year of my captivity. By then I was like a ghost. All my energy was consumed by avoiding punishment and finding any opportunity to please my master enough that I could stay in the relatively comfort of the house. Field labor would have likely killed me in a month. That's what they do to you. I come from a proud family, but soon I was like a broken puppy, always trying to please them. It was when the master and mistress' son went off to fight the barbarians, the natives of the lands. I think I remember he was dressed in armor and carrying a shield and spear. There was a celebration. The master and mistress also dressed in armor, and there were tears in their eyes. They cry. Can you believe that? It was the same when the son came back from the academy, just after I arrived at the estate. Well, this time he was killed. The body was returned to the estate. It was a nasty sight. The corpse was eviscerated. For my own part, I was glad. The youth had been cruel even for a dab. He used to practice sword cuts on injured laborers, those who were too damaged to go back to work. If he couldn't slay with the first stroke out of the scabbard, he would rage something awful. Even other elves feared him. But when he died, both master and mistress became inconsolable. They seemed to collapse into each other, and the steward of the estate had to send for an apothecary to administer a calming draught. It was not unseemly for the man of the house to give in to his grief like that, not like it would be in Sonstal. The dab seemed not to care about such conscience. A pyre was built in their courtyard, and various citizens attended the funeral. The clergy came too, terrifying elven priestesses, one clad in plate mail and the other in crimson robes. The priest's attendants and the mistress prepared the body. Almost everyone was dressed in armor, many in spears and a few with crossbows. Those with bows stood separate. They seemed to be of a lower rank. I recognized some of them from everyday chores. It seems that most citizens are soldiers in Dayton, and not a rabble of fanciables, you understand. They were grim and hard-looking, like your guardsmen outside. The funeral started with armored priests who gave some sort of sermon. She led a chant, and everyone replied with shouts and the clattering of weapons. Then the Red Priestess and her attendants started the pyre. I thought it unusual that all the farm slaves were present. They were made to stand in lines, the temple acolytes behind. The crimson priest seemed to come to a climax. Vermiller again becomes distressed. She takes some brandy. Hildegard, take your time, my girl. All at once, the elfish attendants took out a daggers. They cut the throats of the farmhands. The blood was collected. They were being sacrificed for the dead son. Vermiller continues after collecting herself. The blood was collected in vessels and the bodies placed on the pyre. More chants, the clattering of weapons. I was the only adult spared. The mistress made me watch and beat me with her lesser switch when I tried to look away. Weeping as she did so, she screamed at me to have some respect, and I should blame my human kin for having to witness it. She said there would be a flogging if she was forced to mark my face. I believe this cruelty was how she showed her grief. They feasted with the pyre burned the body down to ash. The next morning the ashes of their son were collected by the priest's attendants. They were put in a jeweled urn, and we went to a nearby stream, where they were scattered with the blood. There were prayers too. Afterwards I learned that the estate had been sold, and the master and mistress were moving to one of the cities. The master held the empty urn like a drowning man. That was just before the dark warriors came and we were let free.